What's up guys? Today's Geeky Acrylics video is going to talk about some of my remastered painting projects. I kind of decided that over the last few years I've grown a lot as an artist, learning different techniques. I'm completely self-taught and over a decade worth of acrylic painting under my belt. I want to go back and fix some older paintings, so I completely remastered them. Some of them I painted over, some of them on new canvas. So this hopefully will motivate other artists like me who might be struggling to love our art and struggling to feel like we're improving. So I recommend this to a lot of people. Take your old art, put it to the side, and then come back later and challenge yourself to recreate a better version. I definitely see a lot of improvement in myself by taking on this remastered project. Starting with the first piece I want to show you guys is one that I've talked about before. Very basic. This is my very first landscape painting ever. The trees are essentially just brown. The grass is terrible. The perspective is off. As you can see in the bottom corner, the remastered version creates a completely different mood. It's the same idea that I started in the first painting, but with better color theory, working with a limited palette, changing the colors to get a certain mood, better perspective. I'm going to blow up the later image, the remastered forest painting, and show you the texture and everything, but basically that's what I challenge myself to do, is to take these plain brown tree trunks and create texture. I've been spending a lot of time learning about color theory, forcing myself to work with a limited color palette, creating sketches and paintings with better value, greater texture. And that's definitely something I struggled with here. But given this was my first landscape painting, I can't really hate it. Everyone has to start somewhere. I'm just really happy to revisit the same idea within a couple years and find out that I have indeed improved. So this is a close-up of the new painting. As you can see, while it's not a lot of texture on the tree trunks, texture is there. It's not one solid brown. It started out as darker shades, and I slowly took an old brush where the bristles were all kind of had a clumpy, toothy texture to it. Went through with other colors using the painting, using the background, highlights. So I really am pleased with the tree trunks in the foreground. Also made Little Red Riding Hood a little different to still have the wolves kind of preying on her. I just put the glowing eyes in the bushes. I really didn't want to try to tackle wolves yet. That's still something that I'm practicing with as well. But overall, I think this was a success, and I'm going to keep challenging myself to do better trees and forests. That's a future project that I'm going to work on. I'm really pleased with how the snow turned out. The path has a little bit of better perspective going into the distance, and you see the path is mostly covered by the snow. It's got kind of a gloomy, cold vibe to it, and that's definitely what I was trying to go for, is a more I guess cold. She's kind of lost. She's kind of feeling desperate, and that's the mood that I essentially capture with this piece here. Now, moving on to the next painting, this was another great challenge for me, and probably the one where I see some of the most improvement as far as my backgrounds go. This was a polar bear painting that I did where you can see the difference in the new one. It's a huge difference in the background. But in the original painting, I was so just, I guess, overwhelmed by and intimidated by the snow that somehow I essentially lost where the middle ground meets the background. So you got these lumpy snow piles, and and the polar bears are standing in snow. You just don't have that real separation. It just kind of looks like two big white blobs on a solid blue background. So my challenge to myself was to really create a better background for this piece. And I love the icy water, but looking at pictures of real Arctic landscapes, the water was definitely way darker, and so I definitely want to darken that up in addition to building up my backgrounds and creating definitely a better foreground too. I was essentially pretty pleased with the polar bear. That was my first bear painted ever, but I knew that it wasn't perfect, and I definitely wanted to create better tones. So again, working with a strict color palette, everything was done using Prussian blue and then I essentially, of course, had black and white. But the first painting, it had phthalo blue, it had ultramarine blue, it had unbleached titanium, white, black. I just kind of wanted to narrow it down, so I literally worked with essentially one color and then black and white. And I really like the darker water. I think the darker water also helps the rest of it pop. The middle ground there in the polar bears. I did correct some shadows on the bear, on the back legs, around the eyes. I definitely think my polar bears could still improve, but I'm pretty pleased with that. Also, I love the rocks in the background with some minimal snow dusting on them and kind of a gloomy kind of background. Most of the pictures I looked at from the Arctic pictures, it was kind of a, this cloudy, overcast look. Definitely wasn't in a bright, solid blue sky. So I want to kind of capture that, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out and the separation of the middle ground and the background. Now moving on to the third piece. Now this piece here is a painting that I want to challenge myself to work in black and white. It was kind of supposed to be a challenge, and I guess you would say a value study of sorts, in which case I decided to use a pop of color and add in orange for the lava. I loved this painting. I loved it. And as I grew as an artist and again was practicing my textures, I came to realize that this painting could not be any more horribly basic. Again, it's super simple. It's just basically color blocking in the shapes and no texture at all on any of the rocks. The background isn't really a well-blended sky at all. I do like the kind of awkward rocky shapes that I made for this, but I knew I could do better, and I'd been practicing my textures and my clouds a little more. So that was my goal, was to come back and actually do a better value study and then add in the pop of color. So I challenged myself to do black and white with actual clouds and not that weird kind of billowy fake smoke look that I have at the top of this volcano. And essentially the lava is just orange. There's a little bit of color variation, but not a lot. So I did want to challenge myself to do more. And as you can see by the thumbnail there, it's a huge improvement just by looking at that. So let's go to the full version of the remastered. This is called Erupt. And for this, I really put a lot of effort into the texture of the rocks in the foreground and better blending there in the middle ground. Way more pleased with the smoke and the clouds coming up in the background. It's kind of a mixture of smoke and there are some like smoke clouds kind of drifting off. It's kind of hard to see no matter how hard I tried to get a good picture. I tried natural lights, fluorescent light, multiple light sources, everything imaginable, and it doesn't totally capture the values properly here. The background around the middle area is a little bit lighter and the clouds are less defined than in the actual painting, and you can't really see the color variation in the lava. It definitely looks like an improvement over the first painting, but it still looks pretty subtle. Up close, you can actually see more color variation, and there's orange and yellow highlights around the lava as well. That doesn't really show up in this picture here. But overall, I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I mean, the whole thing, all parts of this is an improvement over the first, but definitely my focus was the texture of the rocks. I think that makes a painting really come to life and really find more realism when you go in there and put those little details and create more texture. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I hope you find inspiration in some of these pieces and you keep going with your art and maybe come back and do the same kind of remaster painting challenge that I did here. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I'll try to have more remaster paintings coming at a later date and new videos coming soon. Thank you guys for watching.